Welcome to the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 show to bring you all things Club America and English.
Oh, what a strike! Club America!
Your hosts for today are Ivan Pineda, Cristian Rosendo, Alexis Juarez, and everyone's favorite cowboy, Dylan Jimenez. Goal! Now let's hit the field and start the show.
America!
All right, and that is a new intro, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Eagle Eye Podcast. Welcome to our recap of what the first jornada was for America in that 2-1 victory against San Luis. We're going to be previewing, of course, the game against Monterrey. That should be an interesting one. Solari might eventually be managing on the pitch. And, of course, the big transfer saga rumor that keeps going on. Jordan Silva has joined, of course, America. And will there be another addition to this club? Well, Christian will tell us all about that later on in today's episode. But as you guys can tell, we have plenty to talk about. So let's get started. As always, I'm introduced by my co-host. It is New York's favorite resident, Christian Rosendo, and Brooklyn's very own AJ. Gentlemen, how are we tonight?
Doing good, Ivan. Doing good. I hope everything's good with you over there. Excited to talk about Club America and everything surrounding, and let's have a good show.
Awesome. Definitely. Can't wait. AJ, how are we looking over there?
I'm doing good. Just mixed emotions after what happened for America Femenine, but we get more into that on Thursday. But I'm good overall.
Definitely catch all that Lady Aguila's talk over on Thursday. Me and AJ will discuss that terrible defeat against Atlas. But we're here to talk about the men's, and we're here to talk about what happened on Saturday against San Luis, some transfer rumors, everything else going on in and around the world of America. And want to give a huge shout out to our beloved cowboy, Dylan Jimenez, who is actually here with us today. Although while you guys can't see it, he is doing some stuff in the background for us in the producing world of things. Of course, we want to wish our beloved cowboy a very late happy birthday, and of course can't wait for him to eventually appear one day again. All right, gentlemen, now that all of our affairs are in order, let's talk about that game against San Luis. It wasn't the best of games. We were definitely anticipating a much better performance from this side, but were we a bit too did we have our expectations a little bit too high in regards to this team, knowing that there was just so little time that Solari had with them, that we were expecting kind of a whole revolutionary way of them to play against San Luis? We did see some very good, promising things in the first 45, but afterwards it got very flat for America and almost cost us 3 points. Christian, I'm curious to hear from you. What did you see from the first game of America?
It was honestly, it was kind of the same story, to be honest. And I know it's early, so we really can't criticize much, but it was a tale of two halves. The first 45 minutes were probably the best 45 minutes I've seen for America in the past month or so. I thought that the team played well. I thought they were very, very cohesive and just making plays together. And even brought out great performances from players that usually don't give performances like that. We could talk a couple. Domingo dos Santos, I think, had a good match. And to some extent, Mauro Lainez had a good match as well. And I think the player that we need to really talk about right now is Leo Suarez, a player who always shows that he wants to be on the team, that he wants to make an effort. Unfortunately, things just don't go his way in this match. I think that he had a great impact, and it hopefully starting to find his form and his stride to hit new levels with this team. I thought the midfield was pretty good. Interesting to see Emilio Sanchez start, but I think he held his weight for the first 45. But like I said, tale of two halves. In the second half, a little bit, discontrolled in the match. I think the subs were a little bit questionable. Breaking formation was not. I was not a huge fan of. But we'll get to that in a little bit on in the show. But yeah, tale of two halves. First 45 were pretty good, and second half could have been a lot better.
Definitely a much more stale second half in regards to what we were expecting the America side to do. But again, I think we kind of have to take our big expectations and kind of maybe reduce them a little bit. Remember that this is the first game of the season. And so this actually, AJ, feels like a very much first game of the season, if you want to put it into that context of things. I think it's interesting that Christian mentions this and brings this up again. It's a tale of two halves again for America. And it's been kind of the same story for, I'd say, a couple of years now, right? The fact that we haven't been able to get a consistent America side, but a lot of promising things in the first 45, and hopefully throughout the season, maybe a more well-rounded America side that we get maybe a full 90-minute performance rather than, again, the usual tale of two halves.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Just I feel like the first half was just way more exciting for America. We were just seeing players getting shots after shots or creating opportunities. You see little Suarez going up the wing and trying to make his way into the box to try to get a shot opportunity or find someone, whether it be Gio dos Santos or Henry Martin there. Mario Lainez showed some promise, even though I feel like maybe, its first game shivers, I guess, with America. There was some chances where he could have maybe, crossed the ball slightly earlier to give his teammates an opportunity. But in midfield did well, I'd say, even though they got subbed out early the second half. I feel like they did something, and then hey, we even got to see Ramon Juarez taking a shot, which I honestly thought was gonna go in. But all in all, yeah, Taylor 2 has really just second half could have been way better. I feel like for the most part, kind of bit of a stalemate. We just been mostly relying on Ochoa making those big game saves pretty much towards the very end of the match.
Definitely, I got plenty more Ochoa to talk about later on in the episode as we get a little bit further into recapping this game. But let's talk a little bit more about what Christian said. Players that definitely stood out in this match for the first opening 45 minutes. Again, I think after that, everyone gets a little bit flat, even the players that we're about to mention. But let's start with Leo Suarez, Christian. I think he's the player that I think everyone was talking about at the end of the game. I think he was actually being the winger that we all expected him to be when he first showed up at America. Looks like finally going and entering into that role. I don't know if it's because he feels a little bit more free rather than being actually a midfielder. He's more of a winger now. Feels like he has a little bit more of a liberty of being more in the attacking side of things. Doesn't necessarily have to be so much dropping, although he still has to, but not maybe as consistently. And Gio for once playing in that very free roam kind of center attacking midfielder position that he knows and loves and plays to his liking. So I think we got to see some very good promising things, and I think it was important that these players, specifically Leo and Gio, had the type of game that they have, at least for the amount of minutes that they were on in the pitch, because I think it ultimately helps them develop and continuously grasp and get form. And if we can get that Leo Suarez, not just for, 60, 70 minutes, if we can get him for a full 90 for a consistent amount of 17 games throughout the season, well, we're looking at very, very, very good America side, Christian.
No, definitely. Just to touch on Leo Suarez, I think that you make an excellent point when you say that. I think he just feels a little more free and just, I guess, giving the ability to create more when he's playing on the winger role instead of a midfielder role. And like you said, although he has to drop back, he knows he has the comfort of someone being there if for some reason something happens. So I think this is a good thing. And I hope to keep seeing these performances from him, because like you said, this is a player that we need to really start making impacts on in games for full 90s, because America has been lacking in that department. Gio dos Santos, this is probably his best 45 minutes since the Chivas game, where he scored a goal. And like you said, this is a player who's very streaky. And he has these good performances for 2 to 3 games, and we think he's back, and then he just goes flat again, and then we want him out of the team. So like, just for his sake and for the team's sake, of course, I really hope he continues these performances, and just keep it up. But it was a very interesting midfield combination with Emilio Sanchez there. Not playing with the CDM was a little bit nerve-wracking to me, just knowing how weak our defense is. But I think we managed well in the first 45, and it seemed interesting that we went flat in the second half. But like I said, I think it was due to the substitutions in the breakup formation. But we'll touch on that a little bit later.
I think it's the fact that we actually let San Luis grow into this game, and I think the fact that these players maybe are still kind of getting into the rhythm of Solari's new system, and not having the manager there plays a big role, because I think even though you have your your second one in charge, he maybe isn't conveying the same way that Solari would be, in that sense. So it was interesting to see how America kind of fell flat. I do think that a big part of it does happen too when we break that formation, like you were mentioning, Christian, going from that 4-3-3 to an eventual 4-4-2. I thought it was interesting that we started Henry over Viñas, although the big rumor was that Viñas was going to be the one starting in Henry's spot. Eventually ended up being the other way around. And Emilio Sanchez, AJ, what did you think about him? Wasn't really my favorite player on the pitch. I think he was giving a couple of balls a little bit too premature, and I don't know, just didn't really fit the system that Solari maybe wanted to play. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, no, because looking at Emilio Sanchez, he's not a defensive like oriented midfield. If anything, he's more like of a CM or a CM, and there has been times where he technically could play as a forward if you really need to, but just like no, like the 4-2-3-1, it just I feel like it wasn't really like allowing Emilio Sanchez to play the way he wants to play. He had to be defensive oriented, which when I look at him, like definitely he isn't one for defense. He's more offense and defense, but as you mentioned, giving up a couple of balls in the midfield, that's not good because at that point, once that ball goes away from midfield, it's all up to the defense. And we know how we always constantly talk about America's defense in podcast episodes. It's not the most reliable defense in the world. Yes, they can get some stuff done, but then we can't always rely on it. So it's for someone like Emilio Sanchez, he needs to play that role of a CDM as much as he's not accustomed to it. He needs to, but yeah, no, just he didn't fit. He didn't fit in the formation. You could have put in someone else. If you really want to, you could have given Santi Naveda the opportunity to actually start if he wants to, which he did make his first appearance in the league. But if anything, I preferably would have put Santi Naveda there instead of Emilio Sanchez.
Which, I mean, of course, Santi does end up coming into the game a little bit later on, getting his full debut. But yeah, I don't know, Christian Emilio, huh?
Which is another interesting sub. Santi Naveda coming in.
Mm-hmm.
It was because at that point we had Pedro Aquino, right?
Substitutions, yeah. But Emilio Sanchez though, he's an interesting player. If you want my honest opinion, I don't think he's first team ready yet. I think there's other players ahead of him that maybe deserve the chance. I think Santi Naveda is a good option. I think he would have been a better option for this match. But it's interesting to see how most of these coaches, Piojo and Solari, are giving this kid a chance. And just for me myself, I don't see it. There's a lot of things that he's making rookie mistakes, and when he really isn't a rookie, so by this time it feels like he should have been a little bit more mature with his passing, a little bit more mature with this decision making, and for me it's just not there. But let's see. Hopefully he gets his form back together, and maybe we see a better version of him throughout the season. But like I said, I think there's other players ahead of him.
I think he is very much a rotational squad player, and I think he understands his role. And I think the only reason why he is in that position is because I don't think Pedro Aquino was ready to go from the start. If not, I think we definitely would have seen him in that more center defensive mid role. Now let's talk a little bit something about because we talked a little bit about the positives about some of these players, and of course, we talked about Leo, who had a good game. Henry, I think, was a little bit quiet, but I don't really do think that he had the worst of games. I think we've seen worse performances from Henry. Mm-hmm. Again, I think we have to taper a little bit off the criticism because it is a first game back. There was no actual preseason. These players only got about a week off, and then had to report back to training after the CONCACAF Champions League with a whole new coach, with a whole new training staff. So I think we have to maybe taper a little bit the expectations for the first game. I get it. This is San Luis, although I will say this. I feel like we maybe discredited a little bit of San Luis. I don't think we gave them the respect that they deserved because they definitely came to our house and almost completely pulled off the upset. If it wasn't like AJ mentioned, some very brilliant saves from Ochoa in the second and first half. I mean, right off the get-go, 5 minutes in, he had to make a save with, let's just say, with the not the most pleasant part of the human body for a goalkeeper to make a save with. But it was interesting to see this game pan out the way that it did. Although I will want to ask you something. We had the victory, we had the lead, excuse me, and then San Luis score a little late into the game. Was there any doubt in you guys' minds that this America side could pull back and actually get all 3 points after San Luis drew the goal?
For me, there was no doubt. It just being Americanista, and I'm pretty sure everyone can agree with me here. As Americanistas, we don't really give up until the final whistle blows. And I understand why people would throw in the towel due to recent form. But it seemed like we had enough variance on the pitch at that time to make something happen, and fortunately we did. And it was a pretty interesting goal. a little bit lucky. I'm not gonna lie, a little bit lucky that the ball got through. But nonetheless, though, it just shows fight in the team, and there's players like Pedro Aquino who I want more of because he assisted the goal, and after the goal he celebrated like he just won the World Cup. And for someone to celebrate like that, to just giving an assist in week 1 against Atlético San Luis, it shows pride, it shows passion, and it just shows like he's willing to put in the effort to make the most out of his opportunity here. And like I said, more players like him. But no, there was never a doubt. No.
I found that interesting because I didn't have that doubt either. I felt like there's enough time, like you mentioned, enough variables out there on the pitch. We should pull something back. And the only reason I asked that is because if Pio Herrera was still in charge, would you guys still have that same confidence, AJ, that this team was capable of pulling back and getting the victory so late into the game?
I wouldn't think that was the case. That's when you mentioned that you still had confidence. I feel like it's because it's a whole new coach that we have. Well, in this case as well, we had Gilberto Adame being the one that was coaching the team as well. So, I feel like when we concede, it feels it's the get-go. It's Piojo immediately shouting at all his players. But then I feel like at that point when we did concede, I'm like, we can still do something. And I feel like, with the players not being yelled at by their own coach, it's as if like the coach itself, Adame, is just giving the team like, what you need to do. Same with Solari, giving the signals to down there at the field. It's like the players know what they need to do. I'm not gonna say much. They're gonna have to do the homework and figure out, okay, how can we score now? And then if you fast forward into late game, that's exactly what just happened. Aquino running through into the box, giving that pass to Cordova. Cordova puts the ball in the back of the net, sealed the game, and we get the victory. So no, I would say in this case, I would have had doubts already, because then I would have been like, here we go again. How are we going to do this? Are we going to go away with a late game winner, or we're going to go with the disappointing draw?
And definitely would have been a disappointment if America ended up getting only 1 point away from that matchup, because I think we were the better side. Let's talk a little bit about Mauro Lainez and his debut with an America jersey. Obviously, big shoes to fill, having that last name, and his brother Diego coming from the academy. Coming into this pretty hot, scoring a goal, which, let's be fair, it was very a fortunate goal. I think the goalkeeper definitely se la comió in that aspect. I think the goalkeeper should have done way better to keep that out of the net. But hey, things happen, and of course, Mauro Lainez gets the goal. Although if he wouldn't have scored that, let's face it, we would have been very harsh, because he had Gio all by himself in that run towards goal. But I think it's an interesting thing. What did you guys see from Lainez that stood out to you and said, wow, I was not expecting this from this player? Because I think he was the one player that maybe a lot of people doubted as to whether or not he was America caliber-esque in regards to transfers. And I know I have my share of doubts as well in regards to him. But he looks like he's a pacey player. He looks like he's very much determined. And Christian, I saw a little bit of maybe what Solari sees in him at practice that maybe merited him the start against the San Luis side.
No, definitely. He had to be doing something right in practice for Solari to put him in the 11. Honestly, there's gonna be another hot take. I don't think he had that good of a game. Even with the goal. But to me, I think that's just, and I'm not saying anything bad about him. I'm just saying I think it's his first game with the new team. Only a week of practice. First game jitters at the Azteca. All of that culminating, and it just got to him a little bit. There were many times where he was a little flimsy with the ball. I think that he tried to overthink a lot of things. I think there were much simpler plays he could have done, but tried to go for the extravagant play. He missed a pretty good opportunity right in front of the net with a beautiful pass by Gio. Which I think he really should have netted that one in. But kudos to him though for making the run and getting the goal, because like you said, even though he had Gio open, he had the confidence to kind of take that all the way, and lucky for him, it went in. But like I said, even you take that one good run away, because I really think that's all he had, one good run, and I don't think he had that good of a game. Hopefully, though, he continues to work and practice and get better, but he does show a little bit of that paciness that I do like to see from a winger, and it's something that we need desperately. So, hopefully this is just first game jitters, and then as season progresses, he can get better. But for me, this game, I don't think he was that good.
There's an interesting thing that I want to bring up here from a comment saying from Chris Rivera, Mauro Lainez is an engine. What he lacks is skill. he covers it with effort.
Yes, unfortunately, we don't need that right now, though.
I think we do need someone that has
Well,
everything.
we do. Well, yes, exactly. Well, yeah, because we have a lot of players that do give effort. It's just not enough skill.
It's just the lack of skill that it really is
That we
hurting
need,
us at
yeah.
the end of the day.
But like I
But
said, though, I hope he does, get better and get more comfortable with the team. But like I said, I think most of it just culminated as first game jitters, which led to a performance like that. Hopefully, he has a better one next game.
I'm interested to hear what AJ has to say because I know that he's quite fond of Mauro. And
He's fond of
AJ, I
anyone.
saw, huh?
He's fond of anyone.
Which is good. I mean, he's the most optimistic person we have. I think
Oh,
we
dude,
need
he is
one
so
in the team.
optimistic. If you guys can see
We
our
need-
chat, oh my goodness.
This man would give Chucho Lopez. Can't even speak anymore. But look, ultimately, at the end of the day, where I was going with this was that I think I saw some promising things from Mauro, AJ. I think that, especially in the goal, there's something very peculiar about it in the way that he intercepts that ball. That I feel like anyone else on that wing, an Ibargüen or Roger, maybe even a Leo Suarez on that left hand side wouldn't have done. Right? He chases the ball, he sees an intercepting pass, and he does a weird, odd thing that he doesn't necessarily cross it like that, but he kind of goes around the player in order to kind of maybe evade the thought of him saying, okay, I'm going to intercept this pass, but more like I'm going to go right behind you, then make a quick sharp turn and then intercept the pass. It's very peculiar, very odd thing to do. But it just shows how pacey he is, that he's able to do that and then capitalize on a counterattack like that, which ultimately leads to his goal. What did you see from Mauro that you saw that you're like, okay, this could be promising? And then any maybe criticism from your end?
It's just the efforts what I really like from it, but like as any other player on the pitch, you need to play with 110% effort for any team no matter what. But I feel like with Lance, he kept trying. He wasn't gonna let, if he thought like a second too late, so I should have crossed the ball or do a short pass. He didn't just let that get to him. He's just gonna continue going and chasing after that ball until we get the opportunity. And then when it came to that goal, like you mentioned, went on the play, he just went straight down ahead. We've seen other wingers from time to time, and where Córdoba, Royer, Ibargüen, Suarez, they would take some time. They will run down to the box and then immediately will make some kind of cut, or then they think they just want to take an extra second to hold onto the ball and try to find a pass. When in reality, you should just shoot. And I think that's why Lainez did. I feel like the most logical thing he could have done, if he saw an opening like that, he just went straight into the box with the ball and go for a shot, and that resulted into a goal. Some of the criticisms, like what Christian did mention, like he did take an extra second or two to try to think of a pass, because there was a moment in play where I did even criticize and kind of got angry. He could have crossed the ball, but he decided to try to go on a one-on-one with the defender, which I felt like you don't need to do that. Just cross and see what can happen. See if that ball can get into the head of Henry Martin and heads into the back of the net. But I think that's just really it. But yet again, it's the first game jitters. You're playing at the Azteca. You're playing for the biggest team in Mexico that could have all those thoughts into your mind saying, I need to play good in my first game. I don't want to be criticized immediately from the get-go and just have a bunch of fans saying, no, you should go to the bench. You should never play again. But I feel like at that day as well, like you said, it's only the first game of the season. There's only so much we can criticize. We only have to see how he will play throughout the rest of the season before we can come to a conclusion. Was he a good sign for this team? Or was he a bad signing? Only time will tell as he continues playing games with America.
Interesting note from Angie right there. I think that he makes some pretty good positive assumptions of Linus, and I think if he can build on the game that he had, again, Christian, I think I agree with you. It wasn't the most perfect matchup, but I do feel that over time he can get adjusted to this squad, and whether or not that he takes that left wing spot for his own, that's gonna be up to him and Solari. We'll see whether or not they actually bring in a reinforcement. Although Christian, you'll tell us a little bit more about that a little bit later on in the show. But let's talk a little bit more about the game in general. I know we've been talking about players and specifics. Let's talk a little bit more about the game in general as a whole. We saw a first 45 minutes from America side that was really much a very attack-minded oriented team that looked like they were very much on a mission. And it was get that goal as fast as possible and continuously look for the goal again. I don't think I've ever seen a First America 45 minutes where I'm like, wow, this is actually very much enjoyable to watch at the moment. We're not actually passing the ball all the way back and resetting again when we don't find an option. It's rather pushing forward, doing less lateral passes and back passes, more of like, all right, if we're gonna go do some diagonal passes, be a little bit more attack oriented. I don't know. Do you guys concur with me, or do you guys
Of
think that
course.
you guys saw a different game, or I'm just curious to hear what you guys have in mind because
No.
I quite enjoyed the first 45.
No, I think everyone did, and it goes back to what I said last one. Do you remember the segment where I couldn't really explain myself and how they were going to play? Kind of in the
Mhm.
middle, but on the wing. This is exactly what they did. There were two instances in this match, and it goes back to when Leo Suarez took on the defender and got away from him. There was the time where there was maybe four players in the span of maybe 20-25 meters. They were all just very close to each other, making these little passes, but passes that, and then they opened up space. And I don't think we've really seen that from America in recent times. And it's that space that they create that allows Leo to get in positions where he can go one-on-one and beat a defender. And for me, I think that was the first time I seen Leo Suarez dribble a defender in I don't know how many games. But he did it with such skill that he was able to find the open Henry, and Henry missed the shot and right in front of the net. But it's plays like that, the little passes, opening space, and getting behind, that's gonna make this team different from other teams. And I think that's the style that we're trying to implement. I don't know if you guys noticed as well, but Leo Suarez and Mauro Linus were hugged on the touchline. Like they were
Mhm.
there pretty much the whole match, and I think that's how Solari wants his team to move. We're gonna attack, yes, but we're gonna do it in groups like that, and we're gonna open space, and we're gonna make them just question themselves. Is the play gonna happen over there, or what's gonna be their next move? So I like that. I enjoyed it. These small passes are very key in Solari's attacking plan, and I think we'll see better iterations of it as the season goes along.
Definitely, I think as the players grow into kind of the style that Solari wants to implement, the better that we'll see in America's side eventually. But again, fingers crossed that it comes as fast as possible because we do have a very good opposition at hand next week in against excuse me, not next week, but this weekend coming up against Monterrey. But yeah, I think the only reason Leo Suarez definitely had the game that he had was because he was wearing Nike uh cleats. That was the one thing that I took away from this game. The most peculiar thing
Yes, of course.
possible is that Leo Suarez is now wearing Nike cleats rather than Adidas. Don't ask me why. I caught on to that right away, but I
I
just did.
prefer Diaz.
I'm more of a Nike guy, dude. Checks over stripes.
Yes, of course you are. Okay, continue.
I'm just saying, dude. Come on, we're literally sponsored by America. I mean, by America. No, we're not
God
sponsored by
forbid.
America people.
Oh,
Okay.
God, imagine this was by America. Oh man. Oh man, imagine.
You're spreading rumors. That might just
Great.
get canned. I'm sorry. No, I meant America is sponsored by Nike.
Yes. But
Although rumor
everyone,
has it that contract is coming up to an end, whether or not America is going to re-sign with Nike or if they're going to go with Adidas. Although, spoiler alert, I think they're going to re-sign with Nike. I think with this America shop that they're bringing in, they have something very much in the works with Nike, I would say. But I'm getting sidetracked here. Good 45 minutes, right? What happens though in the second half that completely just deteriorates everything that was done in the first half, and then eventually leads us to being at the mercy of Guillermo Ochoa because he was able to keep out at least 4 shots that were going in on goal.
um, I think it was it was it was a little bit of everything, honestly. There's a moment in time where the losing team comes out in the second half, and they're obviously on momentum. They're trying to look for the goal, look for the tie, and then try to grow the game like that. There was a little bit of that. I think America let off the gas a little bit. San Luis, stepped on it, and then they saw chance after chance. But another thing that really got me annoyed with this game, and it's a problem that Slot is gonna have to fix because I can't keep watching this game, and I can't keep thinking that every dead ball situation is gonna end up in goal because we did not win any dead ball situation, any corner kick, any free kick up in the air. We lost every single one of them. And unfortunately, that's how the goal happens on a dead ball situation. So it just changes like that even though you're not capitalizing on every single chance, but if they see that they're winning everything, that gives the team momentum. It gives the players momentum, and it just seems that's not just wrote off of that. Combine that with the substitutions that I have to question because I did not like them. The formation change, which I did not like either. Why change something when something was working in the first half? That makes no sense to me. Unless he was trying to experiment, and I get it, it's the first game, he doesn't really know. So I'll let it slide for this match only and this match only. So it was definitely a culmination of a lot of things that I think America almost saw the draw instead of the 3 points.
Yeah, I think that's a big issue that we've been having for a year now is the dead ball situation. I do think that we don't have aerial. Um oh man, what's the word I'm looking for here?
Coverage.
Aerial advantage. There you
Yeah.
go. We don't have an aerial advantage. We lost Bruno. He's by far the best header we had in this team. Aguilera wasn't playing, and let's face it, he knows how to get to a ball when needed to. And I feel like sometimes Ramon Juarez and Cáceres are a little bit timid when
Yeah.
going in for the challenge, right? They get the kind of that vibe that they're a little bit timid, right? They're still young. They're very new at this. I remember when Bruno first came to America, there was the same way he was in corner kicks, right? In situations where you felt like he was a bit timid, not so much as, Sebas or Ramon, but I think that what I'm trying to say is they'll grow into it as the games progress. I think that I saw a very good Ramon Juarez in this matchup. I don't know if you guys agree to that. I think that if he can continue having the good run of spells that he has, I think he could be the partner for Bruno. Although we did just have, like Chris says, Jordan Silva come save the day. Whether or not he will be the savior to all our problems, we'll talk about it a little bit more. But I don't know. Our defense is still still continues to be our Achilles heel, along with those set piece situations. AJ, just quickly, briefly. I mean, what did you think about the goal that we conceded?
Really unfortunate. Just no one was paying attention. That corner kick pretty much happened. Everyone was looking at the ball. No one marked Nico Ibanez, and I said it from the last podcast episode. If you don't keep him in line when it's in the aerial duels, he's gonna win that. And if it's in the opposition where he's at, he's gonna head that home. And it's exactly what happened. Defense with Ramon Juarez and Cas, they cannot be scared like that. You leave a man like that open, 9 out of 10 times he's gonna score that every single time.
And to think that there's other strikers like the likes of Ruben Funes Mori, as well as Gignac out there that could potentially even be better headers of the ball that you might have to go up against. That is the really tricky situation, but hopefully America can sort all that out afterwards. The thing that got me more mad about that was that Ochoa had just made a fantastic save to push that out to a corner, and then they scored that, and my cousin texted me that Ochoa sucks. It just boiled my blood. Completely boiled my blood. I was like, come on, man. You just kept us in for how long? But by the way, that was not an Ochoa ball for him to come out. I think that just Fuentes I don't even know what Fuentes is doing there to begin with.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's like I said, this defense still isn't up to the standards that we need it to be to compete in this league, and that's just got to change soon. But like our good friend Chris here said, Jordan Silva supposedly is here to save the day. Whether that happens or not, that's only time will tell.
It's a very short time that we have him for, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So, gentlemen, anything else to add on in regards to America San Luis recap? I think we talked a lot of the big talking points, some pretty good stuff. Man of the match, of course, Guillermo Ochoa. We've mentioned that. Let's talk a little bit, just briefly talk about Cordoba, because he is obviously the hero at the end of the night, though I would argue against that, but I don't want people coming from my head. He came in and really didn't have the impact that a lot of people were expecting him to have. I thought he was very much flat in his first opening minutes when he had the ball, but he has the skill, and he constantly keeps showing us that he has the ability that in just a second he can turn it on and provide something special like the finish that he had. Gentlemen, I'm just curious, before we kind of wrap this all up, what is your guys' thoughts on Cordoba? He didn't get to start, so is that something that we potentially might see him lose? Is he going to be a bench player now? Or what is your guys' thoughts on Sebastian Cordoba so far in this game against San Luis?
Potentially. I don't know if Solari has him as a starter right now. I don't think he deserves a starting spot right now. I think I agree with you, Ivan. We might get our heads blown off here, but I don't think Cordova had a good game either. And he scored a goal, and I still don't think he had a good game. He had dispossessed too many times for my liking. He wasn't making smart choices, smart passes. And yes, it was a very good finish, correct. But like you said, I don't think that saves him at the end of the day. I think he needs to be more of an impactful player. I think every time the ball is on his feet, there needs to be danger. There needs to be the sense that, oh my god, there's going to be goal, and I just don't get that when he has the ball right now. That's something that's got to change, because he needs to be that player that provides that fear into opponents and that thrill to provide to the fans. Because we know he can do it. We all know here, everyone here knows that he has the talent to do all of that. It's just right now he just seems a little bit lazy. He just he's not in form right now. Let's just give it at that. He's not in form right now, and and the goal was beautiful. It doesn't say it from this performance, and right now he's not a starter at Club America.
Definitely. AJ, talk to me. How on earth does he make the best starting 11 for the first jornada after the type of performance he put in?
A goal could literally essentially erase one bad performance, because if that goal is literally the game-winning goal, you saved yourself pretty much. You saved yourself from getting roasted by everyone on Twitter, by fans and all that. So there's that. But yeah, no, Cordova is essentially went from 0 to hero in that game. And to the end of commentators were even saying, was Cordova on the pitch? And everyone's like, oh yeah, he's on the pitch. He just hasn't touched the ball yet. And that's a big problem, because if a player like him is going to be entering the pitch, I feel like you need to just have that explosive effort from the get-go. But I just feel like there was nothing just going on there. And like Chris said, it's not that kind of confidence. Like when you see the ball, it's like, can he score though? Can he make a smart play? Can he make a smart pass or cross play? Whatever the case may be. It's just that's like a worrying sign for Cordova, because like they say, like we don't know who's going to be a star, who's going to be truly keeping their starting position, because this starting 11 could completely change in the next game. We never know. It's essentially at this point, so I'm trying to figure out like the pieces to the puzzle, who can fit in what. But Gordon at this point, it's a toss up really. It depending on the kind of day, and like you mentioned, Ivan, from time to time, confidence based player. If this man's on the top of the world right now, he's unstoppable. If he's having a bad string of games, at this point, it's like, at this point, like I say, you're playing with 10 men on the pitch at that point. It could be like the Rogers situation you have in there. It's like having 10 men on the pitch, and that's kind of bad. So with Cordova, he just saved himself this game. He got the goal. It was the game-winning goal. If it was a goal to tie the game up, maybe, but he saved himself this time.
I also feel like Cordova he's playing on the wing for most of the time when he came in, and that also kind of limited him as well. And funny enough, when he gets the goal, he was nowhere near the wing. But that's a conversation I'll have with Solari later. To put Cordova as that cam spot. I still don't know why coaches don't see Cordova put him in the position where he needs to play. But like I said, I think right now we're being way too it's just the first game,
Yeah, that's
and
why we need to taper down the
but and I know he's still trying to figure things out, which I have no doubt that he will figure it out. It's just unfortunately we have one of the the better teams in the league coming up this Saturday, so he needs to figure it out quick.
Yeah, road trip coming up soon.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, that pretty much wraps up the Cordova situation. I'm pretty sure we'll have plenty more to talk about him throughout the season. But yeah, he needs to be the player to kind of showcase and be, like I mentioned, and I mentioned this when I was talking to Cesar over from the Mexican Soccer Show, is that he needs to be the player that carries the team. He needs to be the player that is the most revolutionary player that we have. By far could be one of the most talented players that we have, although I think would argue Giovanni Silva Santo maybe leads that pack for a little bit. But Cordova has everything in his locker to be the best player on that team. It's just up to him to go want it, But we'll see. We'll definitely have to wait and see. But gentlemen, anything else to add on before we jump over?
No?
There's a comment here for Quest. It's a funny way, but Cordova's time in Necaxa, he was really good at the wings faster. I wonder what happened. I feel like that's something with the America thing. It seems like whatever player we loan out to any other team, they just do amazing. Like I always mention, like Luis Reyes and San Luis. I think it was during the season that the season was canceled due to COVID. If I'm not mistaken, he was one of the best left backs during the season at that time, like at that way mark. Comes back to America, has not even appeared, I think, more than what, 3-4 times maybe, and he just hasn't done anything. And then there was also Gonzalez when we bought from Necaxa. Great player, one of the best middles in the team. That does absolutely nothing and just wasn't the season we expected. So I don't know. It's something with America. I just like to call it the America effect whenever we loan a player out. They do great in one thing, they come back, they're solo okay.
And I think it's the reason because it's bigger expectations. It's one thing to play for Necaxa, it's another thing to play for America, So, again, that is that. But America ends up getting all 3 points against San Luis, opening matchup. Solari, not necessarily as the manager, but we'll still give it to him as his debut start in Liga MX with a W, and hopefully more promising things to come. All right, gentlemen, before we jump on into our next segment, I do want to remind people that today's episode is brought to you by Foot Cult. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure you guys check out footcult.com and get some great gear, whether it's Eagle Eye Podcast official training top, or whether it's a number of things that they have over there. Make sure you guys use the discount code EEP at checkout to get 10% off. Again, discount code EEP at checkout to get 10% off. Send us a screenshot, send us, DM us your receipt, whatever the case may be. We want to see that you guys are interacting, helping out Foot Cult grow, helping us, by using the discount code, and you guys will be entered into something really, really special for the end of the season in regards to you, the listener, to you, the viewer, and we promise you that it's going to be something amazing. Again, thank you to our sponsors, Foot Cult, for helping make this a possibility. Gentlemen, we have transfer news and rumors and much more to talk about. Christian, you are knee deep in the world of America and everything that is going on in and around the fluctuation of the transfer market. We have officially brought in a new player, Jordan Silva, who is supposed to be the savior of all saviors when it comes to the center back position. But plot twist, will he maybe potentially play left back? Who knows? But he's only here for 5 months. Explain to us a little bit more about that. And then anything else that you've heard, because there's a certain 18, 17-year-old from Argentina that seems to be maybe heading to Coapa.
Yes, so we'll start with the big news. Obviously, Jordan Silva joins Club America from Tijuana. Finally, a defensive player, something we've all been asking for. Probably the player that we didn't expect.
The least expected, right?
We're least expected. No one even mentioned him. No one was thinking about him. This is a player who had a good showing at Toluca, but then after that he just became a little bit of a bust. Really didn't get much playing time, and now he's looking to kind of revive his career, and maybe he can do it at Club America. Yes, Ivan. He's only here for 5 months, to the end of the season, and then America has no plans on keeping him. This is just to kind of,
That's just so weird to me.
It really is. It's weird to me too, because there's usually an option to buy, which I don't think there is one on this transfer, but I'll further investigate that. But it seems like America just wants to get for 5 months to kind of have that center back depth, because we really don't have any right now, and he just seemed like a good fit. So the one thing I can say about Jordan Silva is, he's a defender that has goal, and it's funny because we really don't have someone like that other than Bruno Valdez. Obviously, he's not here right now, but we really don't have someone like that, and it's interesting to see if Solari will use him in upcoming matches, because he is ready. He's ready to play. I don't think he'll play this Saturday, but you never know in the other upcoming matches. So Jordan Silva here for 5 months, and then we'll see what happens there, but I don't expect him to stay. Another transfer news. Yesterday, the news broke out that a certain Theo Betis is looking for a new for a new left back, right back, whatever you want to call it. And they've looked to a market where they're very familiar. It is in Mexico. It is in Mexico City, and yes, it is Club America. So supposedly Jorge Sanchez is on the watch list for Real Betis, and I can confirm that the interest is true. Betis will monitor him throughout the season, and but the key thing here is that America needs to renew his contract, because his contract's up in the summer, And if America does not renew his contract, and Betis can take him for free, and I don't think that's something America wants right now, especially in times like this. So look for America to really nail down Jorge Sanchez's contract in the next couple of weeks, just to get some money from him, from Betis for him. But interesting to see that we might be seeing the last tournament for Jorge Sanchez. I need quick thoughts on this.
What about plot twist? They take Luis Fuentes.
That will never happen, but okay.
Luis Fuentes at 30 something finally gets his dream to go play at Real Betis, his boyhood club. I don't know. Look, I like George. I want him to stay. I don't think he's ready to make that leap to Europe just yet.
No.
I think that he is very inconsistent at times, and that is definitely going to make it so that he rides the bench. I like it that Betis is interested. That means that we do have a very good, promising young player. I don't think we need a Betis' kind of affirmation in order for us to kind of realize that. I think we know what we have in our hands. But talking on a more financial perspective side of things, America does need to be smart about this because they can't let the Guido Rodriguez situation happen again with Jorge Sanchez. I think that you need to secure him. I think you need to, add 2-3 more years into his contract. And then if he has within a year's time a really good performance, and if we all and I don't think any of us are going to stand in the way of any player's European dreams. I think at the end of the day, if they come knocking, then okay, yes, by any means necessary, go and explore your dream. But I don't know. It would be a huge loss for America. I don't think that there is another right back right now that you could think of that you could fulfill his shoes.
Right. The only thing I will say about this, if America does sell Jorge Sanchez in the summer, I think the summer is the best place to do it. Not in the winter time, only because we have more time to go find a replacement. And at that point, I think we'll have more options other than some limited options that we have right now. AJ, I need your quick thoughts on Jorge Sanchez. Will it be a huge loss if he leaves Club America in the summer?
Yes, it's going to be a huge loss just because the fact we have let go of countless players over time. Guido Rodriguez, Mateus Uribe, Agustin Marchesín, Diego Lainez, all those good players have left America, and then who we get in return, we got little to nothing in return pretty much, and we struggled trying to fill those spots out. So if we were to lose Jorge Sanchez, that's going to be a bigger issue because considering that we are a liability at defense, we need every single defender possible because if we end up playing with 3 at the back at this point, we'll be conceding goals left and right, and then we'll go to your even favorite formation in the entire world, the 5-3-2, and we don't have a right back there. So that's going to spell a whole lot of bad things. So yeah, no, we let go of Jorge Sanchez. That's going to be a complete disaster. Unless America has a right back and plans just to buy immediately as soon as Jorge Sanchez leaves. If not, no, bad idea.
I agree with you there. So yeah, so that's the news in Guapa right now. But Ivan, you did mention a certain teenager that maybe having some eagle wings here in the future. Reports coming from Argentina, not from one but 2 very reliable sources in Argentina, that Alan Velasco, this young promising teenager, from a club that we hate very much, but we'll let it slide if this comes true. That Club America will send Independiente an offer for Alan Velasco. This teenager is very, very promising. He seems like he's caught the attention of a lot of very interesting clubs in Europe. And the interest is true. America is looking at him, and it would be a way to pay off the debt that they owe us. Unfortunately, for America and times like this, even with the debt that they owe us, the price tag is still too much. So I don't think, and we'll leave it at out of 100. I think 10% that Alan Velasco comes to Club America just because of the price tag.
And there you go. Christian has shot all of our hopes, and we can all go back crying our pillows.
10%. I didn't say 0 because 0 is 100%. That he's not coming. 10%. There is a few tricks America can play, but I don't think that it'll work. So guys, don't count on Alan Velasco wearing azul crema this season.
Or ever is what he's trying to say, really. But we'll see though. But it's an interesting avenue to explore whether or not that's something that Santiago Baños can pull off. We'll have to wait and see. If he does, I will say this: all is forgiven. But we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. But that is all the news in regards to Coapa, and that pretty much wraps up the transfer saga segment. We'll have plenty more. As you guys know, the January transfer window does close by the end of January, which is funny enough the way it works around here. But Christian, any chances of more players coming into America?
Other than Jordan Silva and Alan Velasco, who was very minimal right now, there isn't. But like I said, anything can change, and it all starts with a few departures here and there that America are still working tirelessly to find new homes for Roger Martinez and Andres Ibargüen. Even though Ibargüen was on the bench, I don't think that he'll be considered for this season. Same as Roger Martinez, he was the one that was left out of the squad for this match day. And it would be no surprise if he gets left out again in the next one. So America's still working on getting those two a new home, and once you free up those two spots, obviously Nico Castillo will get registered. That will leave one spot open, and then the world is America. They can go after someone, but like you said, they only have a couple of weeks left to get this done, and frankly, I don't see it happening. So most likely, I don't think there's anyone else coming in. But like I said, with America, they're very tricky nowadays. It's very hard to kind of say something and the next day they come up with something new. So for right now there is no one coming in. But like I said, any minute, any hour, things can change.
All right, there you guys heard it first. A couple weeks to go, and America's going to sign Messi. All right, let's jump into the next segment here. America goes and visits against Monterrey. It looks like we have quite the difficult matchup coming up against a very good Monterrey side that maybe looked a little bit like America in regards to they had a very good 45 minutes against Atlas. Maybe didn't have the best 45 in the second half, but they're just in the same boat as we are. They're coming off a good victory, and they have a new coach at the helm of it, as well as Vasco Aguirre will be looking to finally put a dagger through America's heart in regards to his old club. Gentlemen, what can we expect from this matchup in regards to Solari? Christian, I will ask for that predicted lineup in just a little bit. But first of all, what can we expect from this America side going up against a Monterrey, which in the mirror would reflect almost as an equal because of the situations that both clubs are kind of living in at the moment?
Yeah, no. So for Monterrey, this is a little bit of a comeback tournament. We know that they really didn't have the best of seasons, or pretty much frankly the best year last year after they miraculously beat us in that final. And it just let's not talk about that. But anyway, so yeah, not a good year for them last year. We're kind of on the same boat, both teams trying to get a new start. And they have high hopes with Javier Aguirre at the helm. It seems like they're ready to show the league that they're still capable of winning it, and they have a good squad to do it. It's just getting into rhythm. So I think it's going to be a more even match than people are predicting. And in America's part, I just think we need to see more of what we saw in the first 45, that compact style of playing, the short passing, open up spaces. I think we need to see more of that, and just a quick curveball here, because I think we see a very different starting 11 on Saturday, and more tailored towards how we're going to play for the rest of the season.
Okay, that's interesting. AJ, quickly, thoughts?
Gonna be kind of scary just because the players that Monterrey kind of have, so it's really only seriously I'm worried about is just the defense from America. But like you said, anything could change in the second game of the season. We'll have a whole completely different lineup under a whole new different coach, and see how he can make this defense that's currently a liability into something where we could say, okay, I have some confidence going into the season, and who knows, if this is the defense we're gonna ride and die with through the rest of the season, so be it. He'll have to get our attention and have every American fan keep promise into the defense. But all in all, I feel like both teams are coming off of a win from last week. They're going into this game battling it up against each other again. And I feel like it's gonna be a really fun match between these two. I feel like it's gonna be a goal fest, honestly.
Oh God, I hope not. I really want a clean sheet against Monterrey, but
I'm ready for a goal fest.
Yeah, I think it's got to be the match of the jornada. Really,
I think so. It's very very attractive match.
Very attractive match. I think because of the situation that both clubs are kind of living into. But again, this game is going to be live on Saturday at a weird, very odd kickoff time, 7:06 p.m. Pacific time. That is 9:06 p.m. Central time and 10:06 Eastern time. Don't know why they added those extra 6 minutes, but we'll have to wait and see. Of course, Estadio BBVA. And you guys can catch this one on Fox Sports 1 if you guys are listening to the English commentary side of things, or you guys can also listen to or watch it in Fox Deportes. So no to the NF for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Again, you are going to have to go over to Fox in order to catch this one. And of course, you guys can follow us over at Eagle Eye Podcast. Yes, John Laguna. You guys can follow us over at the Eagle Eye Podcast as Christian. We'll have you guys covered for everything for 90 minutes in and out of what is going on in this matchup. All right, Christian, now that I just mentioned you and put you in the hot seat, talk to me a little bit about this predicted lineup that you have going on and why these players and why this formation.
Okay, so I think we're gonna go back with the 4-3-3 to start off the match. We're gonna have Ochoa in net, Jorge Sanchez, Sebastian Cáceres, Manuel Aguilera, and Escobosa playing as our left back. In the midfield, I think we'll have Pedro Aquino, Richard Sanchez, and Giovanni Dos Santos. In the front three, we'll have Leo Suarez, Federico Viñas, and Mauro Lainez.
That is interesting. That is very, very interesting. AJ, do you concur with this lineup?
I'm down with it. I'm currently writing it down just to make sure I got everyone correct from this lineup. There was one player I think who was going to be up front again.
The front three were gonna be Leo Suarez one wing, Lainez the other wing, and Viñas as the striker.
I'm down with that. Yeah, it's an interesting front three. I think it could pan off. I think Chris Rivera mentioned it a little bit. Henry works a little bit better as a partnered striker rather than the solo striker. Viñas is more than capable of doing it on his own. We've seen that he's very much comfortable in that role. We'll see, though. We'll see, because this won't be an easy side whatsoever. But I do have one question to all of you listening. Does Cáceres merit to start over Ramon Juarez after the constant mistakes he's been making in the back?
I think they both been making mistakes.
I think that one gave a pass straight to Carlos Vela and cost us the CONCACAF champions.
I understand that, but I think right now Sebastian Cáceres is the better of the two.
AJ, back me up here, man. For once, I have your back and your boy, and saying that he merits to start. Why is it ludicrous of me to think this?
I think it's simply just because we just see. I mean, what Chris said play that advocate is simply because we're seeing Cáceres play more. We're constantly seeing him play and start along with Emma Aguilera. But I want Juarez, it's like once every maybe 3 or 4 games we give him the start. But at the same time, I would like to see Juarez get himself to start over Cáceres. But that's a big response he's gonna need to carry over against Rayados side that's capable of just scoring from the get-go if the defense is not careful. I would like to see Ramon Juarez get the start. He had a decent enough game against San Luis. What Cáceres, yes, he's the one that essentially went from hero to zero in the span of just 30 seconds against LAFC in the CONCACAF Champions League. But for me, honestly, personally, it's a toss up between the two. It's like who you want to pick. They both make mistakes, but I feel like it's from a manager's choice. That who do I want to choose more in this case at this point?
Okay, obviously I'm in the wrong here. I'll accept that. I think other people are saying as well that they think Cáceres is the better option to go with. Either way, though, whoever starts in that position alongside Aguilera is going to have a long night. Let's face it. We're going to really have to look at our defenders and goalkeeper in this one and say, look, you guys have to hold your own against a very good Monterrey side. And we just have to try to alleviate some of that pressure by trying to retain the ball. Christian, I think that's the most important thing about this game is if America can hold the ball possession, move the ball around, and play the way that they did against San Luis in a more free, open, attacking-minded play style, then we could definitely take the game to Monterrey and maybe unnerve them, unsettle them a little bit at points where you think, okay, we might just be able to pull something off here.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely, and it all starts with the three midfielders I pointed out to you, Pedro Aquino, Sanchez, and Giovanni Dos Santos. Those three are going to be the ones responsible to kind of hold it down, and then start creating. And I'm looking more towards Giovanni Dos Santos to kind of have the performance he did against San Luis to do it against Monterrey. He needs to be the one creating and making these passes in the open spaces for Leo Suarez. and Federico Viñas to get something going. I know he's capable of doing. We saw it last game, and he almost served it up on the dish for Linus, and unfortunately he kind of missed it. But it's just stuff like that we're gonna have to do to get us over the line against Monterrey. And for me, for once, I think he's capable of doing it, and he's gonna have a big night. So he's my player to watch, Giovanni Dos Santos.
Okay.
If
Who
he
is your
does
player to
start.
watch, AJ? Which I think he will, Christian. I think
I
he
think he will.
merited a very good starting against Monterrey. But who's your player to watch, AJ?
I'm gonna have Pedro Aquino as my player of the game to watch in this match. If he's gonna start, we want to see now what is he capable of playing. Whether if it's gonna be the full 90 minutes, 70, 80, whatever minutes it's gonna be. I want to see what he does. He's the sign that I would say will be the bombazo of the transfer bar that we've done this from this transfer window, and I feel like he's the one that we finally filling a spot which we've been desperately looking for in midfield. He's a center defense mid. He's our 5, and I want to see what he's capable of bringing to this America side.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting it's an interesting player to keep an eye out for. Do you guys think he's ready for the start?
I think he's ready. I know we say a lot of thinking it was the first game. It's technically not really the first game of the season. Well, it is, but it really isn't, because they just got off season. It's only 2 weeks. It's not really the first start of the game. He's more than ready. He's in form, and I think he's ready. And honestly, we need him. We need him, and we need his defensive prowess to kind of help us back there because we're gonna need the help. Let's be honest. This
Yeah, we need all the help we can get.
This Monterrey attack is no joke, and I don't care what they had last year. It seems like they're just in a different mindset this year. AJ mentioned it earlier. If you're not awake at the beginning of the match, they're gonna score. They did it in 30 seconds against Atlas last game. So that's just stuff that they can do. It seems like they're a very high press team, and with inexperienced players and players that kind of make mistakes, like Cáceres did against LA. The high press could work in their favor, and I think Akeem's gonna have to step up here real big.
Yeah, look, the more we talk about, the more excited I am to watch America go up against, this Monterrey side, because at the end of the day, you want to be able to go toe to toe with everyone in this league, right? And be able to say, I went toe to toe with you and I walked away with the victory. Let's face it, America needs to get at least a point from this matchup. Let's be honest, right? I mean, in prior seasons, we would have said a point would have been a little bit of a disappointment, but seeing as how things are going, brand new coach, brand new season, brand new play style, I don't think any of us would shun a point away at Monterrey. We know how difficult of a stadium that's been for America. I think we were talking about this last week after the podcast, gentlemen, is that this is a stadium that was not heavily favored for America. We've always seemed to go in there and struggle. Even when we've walked away with a victory, we've seemed to have struggled to even walk away with that. So it's not going to be an easy stroll to park. I mean, at the end of the day, who knows? Maybe I don't know anything, and America walks out winning 7-0. I mean, possibilities are endless, right? But I do want to see this America side with that first 45 minute of America side going up against Monterrey. If we can manage to string that for at least 65 to 70 minutes, I think that's a plus. That's a plus. And if we're able to walk away with a point plus that, I think that's even more of a plus. But I don't know. How do you see this America side, Christian? How do you think they need to play in order to walk away with a result at Monterrey?
Like I said earlier, just like they did in the first 45 against St. Louis, they need to be compact. They need to not really turn the ball over because Monterrey's counterattack is scary with the players that they have. So I think these short passes, staying together, while going in the attack, but doing it together in these close, compact spaces, which I think they are working on a lot in practice. That's gonna be the key to victory. And I'm looking forward to it because we saw a lot of it with Gio getting involved with Jorge Sanchez and Leo Suarez, Richard Sanchez playing very freely in this game, and I think that we'll get Richard Sanchez that we're used to seeing, because I don't think he had a very good season. Well, not to the season that we know he can be. I think his level was a little bit below than his normal. So hopefully with the new coach, new system, he'll get back to a level that we know and love. So I'm excited actually, and I know a lot of worries is on the defensive side. But I'm very interested to see more on the attacking side of what we can do, because I think that if we're playing to the way that Slutty wants us to play, I think that will open up more chances, and we can net a couple goals here.
That's definitely the interesting side of things. AJ, if things aren't going wrong, do we see Solari potentially sub himself in?
Yo, bet. I'd love to see this man just put the laces up. He's like, I'm going in, and then I was like, what? He's like, I'm going in. Put me in. I'm ready. I'm gonna teach.
The
I'm
reason
gonna
why I
teach.
mentioned that is because most likely it seems that America has finally gotten maybe like a temporary permit for him to finally manage, because of course
Yes.
this whole visa situation going on. And whilst they fix that up, I think they've managed to get him a temporary pass. I feel like when they tweeted that information, I feel like they went to like the freaking like they had to forge one, like they had to pay some guy to like forge a fake like social and everything for him. Be like, all right, he's good to work now. But
Hey, man, you never know.
hey, look, whatever gets Solari on that bench, right?
Yeah,
Whatever
no,
gets
I
Solari
don't
on
care.
the bench.
I don't care.
But it should be interesting, AJ. They finally have him on the sidelines. I think that you've spoken about this. It's crucial for the coach to be there, giving directions. And this for the first time, we'll see what his kind of attitude is on the bench as a manager.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm really excited to see him manage this team this season. So for him to be like his true first game, where he's gonna be right on that sideline, giving the directions, the tactics, everything he's gonna be doing to lead this America side to the victory that they're going for in this game, it's gonna be very exciting to see. For Sly. And who knows? Like you said, if he has to teach these young bloods a lesson in defense, he's like, I'm gonna show you how I did it over there in Madrid, or in midfield if he even needs to. If he's gonna give Aquino some advice, is like, here, this is what I did. Now I'm going to teach it to you. But hey, he's got a championship in recent times. Solari, it's been a while. So who knows?
No, and that's a good point AJ makes. This and you too, Ivan. This is gonna be Solari's first game on the bench, and a lot of people don't realize, but you only could do so much when you're out on the street there giving orders on your little walkie-talkie. It's a whole different environment. It's a whole different. You're more direct with the players. You're literally right there, tell them everything in the snap of a finger. So it's gonna be interesting, and I'm very excited for this game.
Christian, is he the type of coach to come in with like a 3-piece suit, or is he more like I'm coming in my
you saw him. You saw him. I mean, I think for him, I think he'll do sweats. But if he busts out the suit here and there, don't worry.
I'm a little bummed out. I wanted him to come up with like the swagger, like
I mean, he did it for Madrid.
The guy could be a 007.
No,
of course. He's got to wash his hair.
No, he can, of course. I know in Madrid he did it with the suit, but I think that's just required over there. But I think he only came in sweats only because he wasn't going to be on the bench. So I think he'll come out with the suit Saturday.
He's gonna look like Eddie Howe from Bournemouth. He's gonna be like that guy that looks like a gym teacher, but he's also a soccer coach as well. So.
Yeah, exactly. Perfectly well put there, AJ. But no, yeah. Look, this is an interesting matchup. Obviously, the tabloids are gonna run with Solari versus Aguirre. This is definitely gonna be. This is definitely going to keep an eye out, and not to say that Monterrey definitely don't have the capability. I think we've spoken highly of them. I'm just curious to hear what your guys' prediction is for this game. So AJ, I'm going to go with you first.
I'm going with a 3-2. I want to go first. 3-2 victory for America.
Oh my God, AJ. Okay,
that's a lot of beers, and I really don't want to go through that, honestly.
Yeah, no.
Because you're tweeting. Get yourself all the pouch and start yelling.
Christian.
I'm gonna. Damn, this is hard. My heart says 2-1, but I think I'm gonna go 1-1.
1-1. Okay. Yeah, I look at the end of the day, I don't think anyone can discredit America for walking away with a point. I don't think it's looked down or should be shunned by any means necessary. Of course, America is always obligated to get 3 points no matter where they step on the pitch, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting because I don't think we could if America ends up playing a good game, but unfortunately just ends up getting a result of a 1-1 draw or maybe a 2-2. I don't know. As long as we saw a fight and as long as we saw something promising, I think we'll be more than okay with that. And I think there's plenty of time in the season to mend for that. But we'll see. I'm going with a 1-0 victory for America. I think it'll be tight. I think it's going to be 0-0 for a good chunk of time. Viñas might get an amazing pass from Gio, which will break the deadlock. But I don't know. I'm banking for a clean sheet here, and my goodness, I can't believe I'm saying this. But hopefully, with Aguilera in there, we have a little bit more of solidarity, and we can manage to keep a clean sheet. I think that's going to be the interesting thing. But we'll see. Chris going with a 3-2 victory. He's feeling as adamant as AJ with the result.
I like that.
Jacob going with a 3-1 victory for America, even being more of a optimistic result here for America, which I think we all would enjoy to see that. Let's face it, I think we all would definitely be over the moon if we do end up getting that result. We have another scoreline here.
Hey.
Going with a 3-0 victory, America. Henry hat-trick. Mr. Padilla over here saying that Henry is going to be our talisman and savior for this matchup. At the end of the day, you guys, this is going to be an interesting one, regardless of what the scoreline is. I know we paint it and I know we say it time and time again, and sometimes it doesn't live to the expectation, but something tells me that this one might just do so. Whether or not we get that 3-2 or maybe even that 3-0 victory, although has a clean sheet. I like it. I think that you guys just have to be glued to your seats. It's going to be an interesting one. It's a long season. It's Solari's first time in charge, and it's the first time going up against, quote unquote, the big boys in the league. Of course, we'll have to wait and see if America is capable of doing this. Again, this game is going to be live via Fox Deportes or Fox Sports, 7:06 p.m. Pacific time, 10:06 Eastern time, 9:06 p.m. Central time, and of course, catch that game via live tweets over on our Twitter at Equal Podcast. Again, Christian will have you guys covered throughout the whole 90 minutes. Gentlemen, anything else to add on before we wrap up the show?
No, I think I'm good.
AJ?
Discount here from Chris. I'm predicting in the press the second half by Sergio Diaz. Sergio Diaz is about to score a hat trick. Then Real Madrid immediately calls him up and tells we want him back. And then he starts at Real Madrid.
I hope Sergio Diaz plays. I'm surprised he didn't get to play last game.
I think it's just because, so I wasn't actually on the sideline. I want to feel like that's maybe the reason why. So maybe in the way he's going to be on the sideline, you'll probably give him some minutes.
I'm excited.
Let's see what happens. I think we all are. All right.
And just one more. No, actually, I'm so sorry. Other than Aguilera, Nico Benedetti will be on the bench this Saturday. Maybe potentially start. I don't think so. But he will be on the bench at Solari's disposal.
Our bench is just looking better. Let's just face it. Our bench is looking better.
Looking a little better. But it's all right, though. We'll see what happens.
It's a start.
It definitely is a start. But all right, I do want to leave this podcast with one last thing to mention and a question at that as well. Gentlemen, the third kit has been leaked and looks to be this white Aztec symbols, very much a reminiscence of the Caballero Águila that Ochoa wore back in 2008. What are you guys' thoughts? How are you guys feeling?
No, I love it. It's precious. I love it.
I'll take it. I'd like to buy it. I always see a bunch of Americanistas that I know they have that jersey, and I'm like, I kind of would like that. So, I'll take it. As soon as it gets released, I'm gonna copy from the get-go.
Roger's not on the bench.
Why I said that? Oh yeah, Roger won't be on the bench. The reason why I say that is because but ameshop.com will officially be released by the time we podcast again. Now, rumor has it that they're going to be releasing the jersey next Monday, along with the official launch of the new America shop. How do you guys feel about America finally getting an official shop, an official store for us to shop at? Question still remains to see whether or not we're going to be able to order from the United States and get it shipped to us, but fingers crossed, like the rest of the world with their own fan shops, the clubs do ship out to various points of the world. How you guys feeling about this new Ame shop?
Long overdue. But I'm excited they're finally getting around to it, though.
AJ?
I'm really excited. I've been to the actual shop that they have at the Estadio Azteca. It's beautiful. And I would hope that the online shop is going to be the exact same things. And who knows? And for America Femenine, who knows? Maybe they have jerseys out there already custom made for America Femenine, so I'll be excited. Same with the men's. So pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool to see when it goes up. Hopefully they're able to ship to the US because I'd like to cop some merch from them.
Definitely. Very exciting. I'm very excited. My wallet is definitely not, but hey, we'll have to wait and see. My last thoughts on the new third kit jersey. I love it, but as a goalkeeper one.
Oh, no, don't get me that.
Oh, come on. You'd love to see Ochoa wear that.
I mean, of course, but he's going to have his own variation of it, hopefully, maybe.
Like an all-black one?
See, that'd be dope.
Like inverted colors?
Wait, kind of like a sweater? No?
Yes.
Oh, that?
Right? Tell me that wouldn't be nice.
That would be very nice. All right, well, we'll leave you guys with that thought. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll be back on Thursday to talk all things Lady Aguilas. Me and Angel will be recapping that terrible loss against Atlas and previewing the game against FC Juarez. We'll be back next week to talk all things America in regards to the game against Monterrey and preview the next one, and all things in regards to the transfer window. And again, thank you guys so much for joining us and for tuning in, listening, watching, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for all the interactions today. I know that I have plenty of names to read off of, but I don't want to keep you guys any longer. You guys know who you guys were that interacted with us. Thank you so much. And again, we'll be back next week to talk all things Águilas in English. Gentlemen, again, thank you guys so much for coming on again. Favorite time of the week. And I hope you guys stay safe. Hope you guys wear your mask. All of you guys out there, please do stay safe. And we'll be talking very, very soon. Until next time, take care. And as always, Arriba la América. Good night, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was another production of the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 source for all things Club America in English. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Eagle Eye Podcast and get all the latest news and coverage. And subscribe to our podcast wherever it is you may listen.